Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us at the 2023 Sloan Sports Analytics Conference Competitive Advantage Talks, presented by Kager, also known as Kraft Analytics Group. My name is Evan Lefkowitz. I'm a first-year MBA student at MIT Sloan, and it's my pleasure to introduce our presentation. Welcome to the Lakehouse, Best of Breed Data Stack in Sports, presented by Microsoft. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Anthony Brock, Senior Director of Customer Insights and Business Analytics for Pacer Sports and Entertainment.
Thanks, Evan. There's a clicker up there. All right, thank you. Thank you, Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, for having me. I don't know if I've ever been to this many happy hours in my life. The last couple of days has been great. Getting to meet people, network a little bit. I'm excited to show you a little bit of what we're doing. I also want to thank Microsoft and Databricks for inviting me to speak up here on their behalf. We're doing some really cool data architecture initiatives at Pacer Sports Entertainment, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to use Lakehouse and Best of Breed kind of interchangeably today, but they are not the same, right? It's our Best of Breed data Lakehouse infrastructure is built with Databricks in mind with the Lakehouse, okay? So just keep that in mind as I'm kind of talking through this. I also want to apologize. I am not a creative design type of person. I was going to do some cheesy Lakehouse pictures in here, but I decided not to. It just looked terrible. So I'm more of an X's and O's. It's a lot of geometric shapes. Hopefully the information will make up for that lack of design, okay? So I'm going to start with how our team is set up for success to be able to do something like this. We are a small but mighty team here at Pacer Sports Entertainment. In terms of the size of our team, we have about 5 people right now. We're opening up an analytics engineer position. We also do a lot with the CRM team and the marketing cloud team as well. But if we're just looking at data-centric team, this is us. This is about 5 of us right now. I also don't want to take anything away from our analytics team. I'm not going to talk about a lot of the stuff they're doing right now, but they're doing some really great work. They've kind of been waiting for the engineering side to catch up to them in terms of what they're doing. That's really what we've been able to do is amplify their capabilities. We're going to be concentrating mostly on the engineering side of things. I'm not going to get too technical. If you have technical questions, Jared, our data engineer, is right here at the end of the session, or even during the Q&A. He can definitely answer those for you. But one thing we learned when we were trying to build out this team and understand what our capabilities were was understanding what engineering could be. And Jared's really opened my eyes up to what this function of the business can be. It's not just data architecture and data engineering, data security. He's also leading data science. So we ask a lot of our data engineers, if you guys can't see that. But we've really turned this position into a kind of center of excellence. He does a lot of training in how to use data for business users. We also try to help them understand how to access data so that they can actually use it. A lot of solutioning, so just, he's kind of like an internal consultant. If we can start to build out solutions where they're coming to our engineer, they're coming to me to help us build those, then we can actually start to build those even more and at a higher quality. And then obviously automation. If someone from our company is doing something manually, we want to automate it as much as possible. Maybe not 100% in the next year, but get as much as possible automated as we can. What's interesting about this team is we, maybe a lot of engineering is with analytics in sports. Maybe engineering's under IT or a different department. I do think it's a strength of ours to have them together. We have full data lifecycle ownership from ingestion and identifying data sources all the way through to exploring them and analyzing the data and then pushing it out to business users. So I do think it's maybe a little unique to maybe some teams are starting to switch to this route, but it has been very beneficial for us. And the buy-in from senior leadership has been critical as well. We have a pretty tech-forward ownership group. They like to be either first or best in tech. It's kind of a balance of we don't need everything, right? We don't need Ferrari for everything, but we do want to be the best at what we can do. So very tech-forward ownership group. Another way, honestly, growing up or coming up through my career through business analytics, I always kind of looked at data engineering as a support function, honestly, right? I just thought, give me the data so we can use it. But Jared has really opened my eyes to this is more than a support function. This can be a hub where people come to us, we build out solutions, and we deliver it. So Really new orientation for this whole company. How we've done that, we've built use cases in business terms, right? If you guys see all the poster boards out there that the students have created, if we delivered something like that to our VP of sales or someone else, they would probably laugh us out of the room, right? Their eyes would get glossy, they start thinking about their next meeting. So it is important to be able to deliver, to storytell a solution, whether it's coming from data, help them understand methodology, and then deliver it in terms that they understand. We also have very open communication between our senior leadership and us. It's a pretty flat organization. So we report directly to the Chief Commercial Officer and President, and he also speaks on our behalf quite a bit as well. So a lot of buy-in from senior leadership, in addition to how we're structured, has really made us successful in what we're doing with the data architecture standpoint. So what's the main problem we want to solve? We want to know how we can democratize data across all properties. And for those of you who don't know, we have an NBA team, a WNBA team, a G League team, a 2K sports team, a foundation, a philanthropic arm, and then we also operate Gainbridge Fieldhouse at Pacer Sports Entertainment. So 6 properties. How can we democratize data across all of them and across all revenue streams and data touch points? So the first thing we wanted to do, so I came in about 2 years ago, is build and maintain a cohesive team. Okay, so I stole that term from Patrick Lencioni, business writer. But we, in all transparency, in 2021, we lost 5 people from our team, between us and the CRM team. They wanted good opportunities. It wasn't anything that we weren't doing, completely wrong. It was more we didn't realize that we were competing for talent across all industries, across all geographies, right? It's not just enough to say it's cool to work in sports. When you work for a data or technical position, it's really important to understand that we're competing for talent, with the Eli Lillys in Indianapolis and the Amazons across the world, right? It's not just Indianapolis talent anymore, and it's not just sports talent. It's technical data positions. We knew that retention equals production. The longer we could keep people, the more we could get more done, would lead to more cross-department collaboration as well. We build up trust with the same people, and then we're able to deliver those solutions on a wider scale at a higher quality in terms that everyone understands. If we were to churn, we have to restart projects, we have to restart solutions, and possibly restart the work in general. So it's really important for us that we retain our people as much as possible, especially that top talent. Once we nailed that down, we wanted to leverage what was out there from a technology perspective, right? There's a lot we can do. Do we need the most expensive solution out there? Do we need anything that comes close to maybe a enterprise Fortune 500 company? The answer obviously is no, right? How can we start to leverage this best-of-breed architecture, which I'll go over here in a second. We also wanted efficiency in that transition, right? We didn't want to just stop what we were doing and then restart something else. We wanted to be able to transition efficiently. And then also be budget competent. We didn't want to blow the budget. When you hear about the clients that Microsoft and Databricks has, we don't need exactly what their biggest clients have. We need something that fits what we need. So that's the first 2 things we want to do. With those 2 shored up, we can start to actually deliver actionable insights. So we can map the customer journey much more efficiently. We can drive the process with use cases instead of just us delivering data across the board in ways that they can understand. And we can expand beyond revenue. So we don't need to just focus on sales, marketing, sponsorship anymore. We can move into finance, HR, operations, and even legal. So we wanted to be able to maximize everything we're doing across the whole organization. So quick kind of history of where we started to where we are now. We just went on-prem in 2017, so we were way behind, right? If you look at most companies, this is like 80s, 90s type of thing, right? Maybe even earlier. We just went on-prem in 2017, okay? So we were behind to start. We did a MuleSoft integration to bring in all the APIs into one platform in 2018, okay? So we're starting to build capabilities up in terms of our architecture. In 2019, we had our first SQL database, which tipped off the warehouse in 2019. Very, middle of the road, kind of where everyone else was at that point. So we started to catch up a little bit. In 2019, we onboarded Azure Synapse, which was a great product for us to get our feet wet. It was a great data warehouse solution. We used Azure Data Factory to do all of our ETL. And we brought in a lot of data sources that we'd never had before. So it was a great kind of first step for us and to kind of catch up to where everyone else was. Just last year, about a year ago actually, we finally moved into Azure Databricks. So when we hired Jared, he brought in this solution to me. It took a few meetings for me to understand what he wanted to do, but we started to realize pretty quick benefits right away. And that's where I really latched onto it. I kind of became a super fan of it myself. And this is all within the Azure environment. So we didn't have to sign a new contract. We didn't have to go out and get a bunch of consultants to help us do this. We could do this all within our environment already without making any big changes. So again, I'm sorry I'm jumping around a little bit. This is kind of hard to fit in 20 minutes, but just the differences between a warehouse, a lake, and a lake house. For those of you who don't know, for you engineers out there, please stay with us. But the warehouse is pretty simple, right? It's really built for business analysts. It's really strong at having descriptive data stored, easy to query, easy to deliver. If you look at a data lake, the data comes in unstructured. You have to transform it somehow, and it's really strong for data scientists, right? The data's quickly available. You can process it as needed. It's a very maturing architecture still. Again, primarily developed for data scientists. The data lakehouse, and that's the cheesiest lakehouse picture I have in this whole thing, I promise. The data lakehouse it's the best of both, right? So you can look at the benefits of a warehouse, the benefits of a lake, and you have it all in the lakehouse. If you really want to look at hardcore technical on that, definitely connect with Jared. He'll tell you all about Parquet Delta files, and your eyes will go cross-eyed. But it is really, really impressive what we're able to do, bringing data in unstructured, process it as needed, but it's primarily built for the entire data team, okay? So our analysts can quickly query data, they can quickly pull it. We can also quickly push it to machine learning or AI platforms, and we can collaborate and visualize it much better on our end. So this is what it looks like for us right now. This is a very simple map. It can get much more complicated if you look at the ingestion in the ELT side, but this is what we're looking at right now. We bring in a lot of data sources. As I'm sure all of you know in sports, we have a ton of data sources. We were very aggressive in the timeline of this. We wanted to have this up and running in 8 months. We're about 60 to 70% of the way through in a year. Really, the biggest kind of obstacle, if you guys are considering this, is the data sources themselves. Sometimes the APIs aren't as strong. Sometimes the documentation isn't as well written, but just trying to get through that. And also, your legal departments may want to take a look at the contracts as well. So think about that as you're considering this architecture or just going best of breed in general. So when I say best of breed, you can see there's a lot of different logos on here, right? We're kind of excited about that. We're not dependent on one thing to get us through. We can optimize each part of our process. So we don't have to just go with an entire one solution. All of the competitors, all these different platforms now, they integrate with each other, right? This is 2023. They integrate really well with each other. They talk to each other really well. They collaborate with each other. So we're able to do this a lot more. It also allows us to bring in startups like Count, which is at the bottom there for the collaborative analytics. We can do startups much easier. We can bring them into our environment. We can test it out. We can do proof of concepts much easier, or different trials from different platforms too, okay? So we're able to do kind of a lot more because of this best of breed approach where let's optimize each part of this as much as possible from a budget standpoint and from a process standpoint. So let's look at, as I said, we're about a year in, 60-70% of the way through of full ingestion of all of our data sources. I'm still doing a little bit of stuff in the warehouse. It's kind of a lipstick on a pig approach, right? I'm just trying to patch it up and get it through while we wait for the contracts to get through for the lakehouse. But we have seen some big short-term impact already. First one being, we're operating at 41% of our current operating costs year over year. So that's a big jump, right? Right away, it's much more efficient how we're bringing the lakehouse compared to how we're doing it in the warehouse. We have 56 times more active data storage in Azure. So lower costs, more data, and we define active data storage as data we're actually using. We have a lot of historical data that's just kind of sitting there just in case we need it for future use cases. So lower costs, more data. So you guys kind of get the picture already, the benefits that we've seen. We are projected to operate at 10% of our operating costs by the time we are fully done year over year. So much lower cost. The baseline is now set for engineering, right? If we're going to get to that baseline, we're going to start increasing it a little bit if we do more data science projects, more ML. But you can see the baseline is now set for data engineering to operate about 10% of what we were, and we'll just climb up from there as use cases are provided. 14 departments or properties have more support. They either had little to none before. They are now supported by the data that we are providing. They can access data, they can request data, and we distribute data to them as well. So you can see that's big, right? The collaboration that we've had between departments is massive. We want to continue to build on that, break down the silos as much as possible, and bring in as much as we can. It's been an infinite amount of still projects that have now been completed on, we had a list of projects that I came into 2 years ago that we've now completed. We're creating more cross-department plans as well. So we're really just building the capabilities, building our brand within Pacer Sports Entertainment to look at as a solution. So what's next? As you can imagine, we want to be able to use this data as much as possible. We want to create a customer-centric operating model that we are looking at and trying to optimize as much as possible. So when you start with this, you want to start with your strategy, obviously, the planning, the segmenting, the positioning, budgeting, and also your constraints, right? Your data security, data privacy, data governance level. And then we layer it with the technology, okay? So our best-of-breed data stack is going to be powering this entire thing from start to finish. What this looks like for us is continue to develop information, whether that's our customer behavior data, how they engage with us, any demographic, psychographic data we can create, any feedback they give us, and then also external data sources, continue to build those out as much as possible. We want to continue to be creative on how we're bringing those in, and also if it's aggregate, great, but if we can match it to our data, even better. So continue to build up those internal and external data sources so that we can actually create our own data sources. From there, we'll process the information. So we'll continue to build use cases. We'll do a lot of storytelling. We're going to continue to analyze, obviously, and then map the journey as much as possible from a digital and in-person perspective. So this is how we get the information out, right? We distribute information a lot, so people still like presentations. So we still are going to make some PowerPoints once in a while. We do one-pagers quite a bit, which I think is a good step forward for us. We have static dashboards, and then just continue to train them as well on how to use the data, how to access the data. The one I'm really excited about is accessing data, right? If we can get them, every single person in this company, to start every conversation with data, every decision, every meeting, everything that they want to do, every solution starts with data, that would be a huge plus for us, right? If everyone is an analyst at some level, that would be great for the entire company. So giving them live dashboards, giving them access to a platform where they can live query the data, and just constant integrations for sales reps into Salesforce so they can also read that as much as possible or use that data. Obviously, then a customer will have some type of experience where they'll engage with us either digitally or in person. If we can connect those more, great. We'll continue to look at that. And then that feeds more back into developing more information. So the better we can get at amplifying this process and making it quicker from experience to information, the better. So that's what we're really concentrated on, making sure that we can do going forward. All right, so I have about 2 minutes left here until questions. I'm going to try to get through most of these. I'm going to put them all up there so you can see them. Just wanted to kind of review 7 reasons to go best of breed in sports. Okay, so if you're looking at your data architecture as a whole, you don't have to do this all at once. You can step into this one by one. It doesn't have to be something that is going to be a rapid change. Also, if you look at the bottom right there, highly customizable. What works for us might not work for another team, right? Make it how you want it. What works for us might not even work for our basketball team for their analytics. So make it highly customizable and make sure that it fits your needs and you're not just copying what everyone else is doing, right? But we are more platform agnostic now. There's no single point of failure. Again, it's an integration-heavy landscape right now in terms of all the platforms. As you saw, a pretty quick ROI. So our cost savings are pretty well right now. More data access, revenue insights will follow as we continue to develop more information. There's a lot of consultants and platform connectors that you can hire to maybe make a process quicker, something that might take you 2 or 3 months. You could bring in a connector and they can do it in maybe 6 weeks or so, depending on your legal process as well. Quicker to scale, okay? So I mentioned a lot more proofs of concepts, a lot more trials from different vendors. We can bring in startups as needed, so we're not heavily dependent on just one solution. It's a la carte. You can let the process dictate your resources, okay? So you don't have to just go with what everyone says. You can pull what is more important to you. You're going to continue to build knowledge. Once you kind of live on the edge, like we call it, you're going to learn more. You're going to bring in students who can maybe even make an impact as well as a younger talent level or interns too. So that is it. If you have any questions, Jared's up here as well. I can take questions too. Sorry, the light's really bright.
Thank you. First off, this is a great presentation, super useful. When you're talking about org-wide data access, is that on the level of having them write queries themselves, or is that on the level of prepared dashboards that are being distributed to the other departments?
I'd love for them to be able to query themselves. I don't know if that's super realistic, right, for everyone to be able to do that. At my last company, we had a platform where you could, basically it's a big table, live table, where you could just pick and pop what dimensions and metrics you want, and it'll populate a table. We can do that in Tableau as well. So just giving them access and whatever they feel comfortable with. If some people want to learn to query it, great. If not, they'll just kind of set the dimensions and metrics that they want, and we'll build that out for them. Yeah. Yeah. The biggest benefit there was that we wouldn't have to get another contract through legal, and we wouldn't have to completely reorient our entire environment. We could do it all in one platform. So that was, I would say, that sold me the most, honestly, is we don't have to hop out of anything. We can stay within Microsoft. We can still leverage a lot from Microsoft in there, as you kind of saw the supporting services. And we don't have to hop out and get another contract, which could take 6 months to a year.
Is the engineering all happening in-house on one person's shoulders, or is Databricks kind of assisting in that realm as well? Yeah, Jared leads it. Databricks does help out a lot. They're a great partner to have for us. Microsoft helps out a lot as well. We're considering bringing in a consultant. We are trying to hire that position that we had up there, analytics engineer, is probably going to open up next month. Just working really hard to push it on my side, but I do think it will get posted. Right behind you.
Yeah, so congratulations on the cost savings, but I'm curious, like, what was the biggest cost and how did this reduce it?
The computing, so just building out pipelines, the Ticketmaster pipelines, the Salesforce pipelines can get pretty intensive because of how much data is being passed back and forth and the transformations we had to make in between those. That's where the cost savings is the most, especially bringing in data unstructured at first and then just processing as needed. Yeah, quick answer is he asked why Tableau instead of Power BI, because Power BI could be part of that tech stack. Quick answer is I inherited that. Tableau is something that we already had when I came in. The long answer is I think Tableau is very powerful. I think Power BI has its benefits too. But at this point, since we have so much built out with it and the user access is already kind of created, it would be more expensive for us to switch. It'd be a big process too for the users of it.
Did you compromise on the data refresh cadence to keep the cost down on Azure?
Compromise on the what? Sorry.
Data refresh cadence.
Data refresh cadence?
Data refresh cadence.
Data refresh cadence to save costs, is that what you said? No. Most of our pipelines refresh once a day. Some sources, some data reps might want to see it 2 or 3 times a day, so we'll just refresh as needed. A version control system? Something like Git, but for data. Yeah. So we track the data lineage as much as the model. We do data modeling as much as possible as well. That new position is going to be heavy in data lineage and data modeling as well. So right now it is a lot on Jared's shoulders. So hopefully we can spread that out. One more question. Okay. Appreciate it.